10 rate hikes since 2022, the highest number of active listings since 2014, the lowest annual sales on record, and for the first time, negative year-over-year average sale prices. All this and more in my latest 2024 market prediction video. What's up, guys? My name is Andrew Kulakowsky, and I'm a local realtor and team leader of the Living in Niagara Real Estate Group at eXp Realty. Our team helps hundreds of people buy and sell real estate here, and we love what we do. So if that person's you and you're thinking of buying or selling here in the Niagara region, then make sure you do one thing and reach out to us. You're welcome to call, text, DM, schedule a Zoom call, but just remember, we've got your back when making a move right here to the Niagara region. Now, in today's video, I'm going to be talking about my predictions for the 2024 Niagara real estate market. Now, most, if not all of this information that I'm talking about in this video will actually pertain to all of Canada as well. Now let's get into it. Now, my number one prediction relating to sales volume. Now, as mentioned in my intro, we've had a record low number of sales here in the Niagara region in 2023. Now, that's dating back as far as we can get the data from our local Niagara Real Estate Board. Now, there is no question that we are going to see more real estate sales in 2024. That's based on talks of interest rate decreases, economic conditions, and overall market conditions as we enter 2024. It's inevitable that buyers are going to come back to the market. Now, in reference to this, I am going to quote a recent article by the Canadian Real Estate Association. In 2024, home sales forecast 490,257 home sales. That's up 9% year over year. Now, national home sales are forecast to rebound as interest rates get closer to and eventually start trending down, and housing markets make a turn back towards their long-term trends. This forecast would place activity close to the pre-pandemic 10-year average, below levels recorded in 2007, 15, 16, 17, 19, 20, 2021, and 2022. Now, my prediction, though, is that the start of the year, January, February, and March, will be very slow and somewhat flat. We won't see an increase, in my opinion, in activity until at least April or May, moving into an upward trend as we approach the fall. Now, moving on to my number two prediction relating to average sale prices. Now, my prediction is that we are going to see an increase of 2% in average sale prices here in the Niagara region. Now, in the media, I'm sure you've been hearing both ends of the spectrum with relations to increases in prices throughout Canada and specifically Ontario. Now, you're hearing anything from 5.5% increases to decreases of upwards to 10%.
Well, home prices across Canada are expected to climb next year with the anticipation of Bank of Canada rate cuts.
Now, in reference, I will read a recent article by TD Bank and what their prediction is. Now, quote unquote, Canada's second largest bank says average home prices could drop as much as 10% by early 2024, thanks to a surge in housing supply in two provinces. Now, as previous forecasts from TD Bank had called for average home prices to fall around 5% from their third quarter level through the early part of next year. Now, in contrast, here is a recent statement by the CEO of Royal LePage. Quote unquote, its market survey forecast reports that in Q4 of 2024, the aggregate home price will increase by 5.5% year over year to $843,684, with the median price of a single-family detached home and condominium increasing by 6% and 5% to $879,000 and $616,000, respectively. Well, there you have it. You have two ends of the spectrum with regards to what prices are going to do here in Canada next year. Now, only time will tell. If I had to predict, I would say we won't see increases here in the Niagara region until the latter part of the year, more into the fourth quarter. Now, moving on to my number three prediction, and that is relating to interest rates. Now, as you know, predicting interest rate increases or decreases or holds is merely impossible, and nobody has a crystal ball. Now, my prediction this year is that we're going to see a minimum of 2 rate decreases, with most likely seeing 3 rate decreases throughout the calendar year of 2024. Now, when are these decreases going to happen? I predict that we're probably going to see our first one in the middle of the year. I believe the Bank of Canada and the Feds are going to wait out the first quarter of the year to kind of see where our market conditions are headed and where our economy is headed with relation to inflation. Now, I don't believe that these decreases are going to happen in the beginning of the year. I anticipate our first decrease happening in the middle of summertime, with 2 more decreases happening later in the fall. I believe the Bank of Canada and the Feds want to sit back and gauge what's happening with our economy and the overall market condition here in Canada in the first quarter of the year. Now, before moving on to my 4th prediction, if you guys are enjoying this video and want to see more videos just like this one, do me a huge favor, hit like, subscribe, and tap that notification bell so you guys will be notified every time I post up videos just like this one. Now, my number 4 prediction is that we're going to see investors come back to the market. Now, 2023 was essentially a write-off for investor activity. With high interest rates and a lot of uncertainty in the market, it was impossible for investors to buy rental properties that actually would cash flow. Now, with prices going down and talks of interest rates decreasing next year at multiple points, I believe that investors who took a backseat will slowly come back to the market and want to start buying rental properties. And my number 5 prediction is that Airbnb operators are going to start to sell their properties. Now, why do I say this? If you haven't already heard the buzz, there's been a lot of buzz around the pressure that the government is putting on companies like Airbnb and VRBO with regards to short-term rentals. Now, their goal behind this is to increase the supply of housing, both rental as well as resale. And in recent doings, the federal government has actually imposed taxation measures on Airbnb or short-term operators, prohibiting them from deducting any type of expenses off their income. Now, I want to refer to a recent article by CBC. This is dated November 24th by Sean Fraser, our housing minister. Federal housing minister floats Airbnb crackdown to boost long-term rental supply. Now, quote unquote, Housing Minister Sean Fraser said Monday that the federal government is considering a series of measures to curb the number of Airbnb and other short-term rental units on offer to boost the supply of homes available to rent for a longer stretch. Also in the article, he states that Fraser said Ottawa could use its taxation powers to make owning an Airbnb less lucrative to bring on new pockets of supply. Now, the second most important point that I do want to refer back to this article that states, quote unquote, the Toronto Star reported Monday that Ottawa will soon block people from deducting expenses on short-term rentals in areas where those services are already limited by other levels of government. It also states that the tax measure, which would come into effect on January 1st, is meant to crack down on property owners who flout local regulations. Now, one important takeaway here is that the feds are also hinting at the fact that they are willing and ready to take other measures other than taxation to crack down on short-term rentals here in Canada. Now, what's my take on this? I personally don't believe this is going to make a huge dent in our overall rental or housing supply. However, you will see more operators selling off their properties or converting their properties into long-term rentals. And number 6, my final prediction, we're not all lollipops and rainbows yet. The affordability crisis in Canada is still in full effect. Now, I still anticipate more home foreclosures on the horizon for 2024, with the pressure of higher rates, the cost of living and affordability in Canada still being very, very difficult for many Canadians. We are not in the clear yet. I also want to highlight that there are 2.2 million mortgages coming up for renewal in 2024 and 2025. Hence why I talk about the pressure that Canadians are going to have when it comes to renewal time. Anyone with low interest rates in the low 2s will now see their interest rate at least double, hence putting pressure on the overall affordability here in Canada. But as you know, only time will tell. Well, there you have it, guys. That is my 2024 Niagara Real Estate Market prediction. Now remember, everything that I talked about in this video is highly speculative and in my opinion only. But let me know your thoughts, your opinions, your takeaways. What do you think is going to happen in our real estate market for 2024? Let me know in the comments section below. But that's all for now, guys. Happy New Year, and I will see all of you around town.